Uncertainty hovers at the edge of dawn. Do you feel it, that small tremor of doubt when the day first stirs? In the pale hush before birds announce the sun, you stand between what was and what will be, wondering whether an unseen presence truly waits beyond the next turn. Yet the God who shaped galaxies already walks the prepared path before you, smoothing hidden stones and planting promises like dew, lit lilies along the way. His whispered assurance threads through the breeze. Be still, I am here. See Deuteronomy 31 scene 8. These words remind you that divine companionship precedes every journey and banishes dread. So release the weight of unfinished plans, set your questions on the altar of trust, and let courage rise where fear once nested. Which burden will you place into His steady hands? What bold hope will you carry toward the promised arrival He has envisioned? Now, as your heart grows still, we step into the mystery He has already filled. You wake before the first shaft of pink spills over the horizon, aware of a silence so delicate you fear a breath might shatter it. Curtains flutter like gentle sentries, and the cool air carries the faintest scent of jasmine and rain-kissed earth. Though the room is dim, you sense you are not alone. Holiness lingers, tracing invisible patterns across the walls, urging your pulse toward calm. You recall that the Almighty skirted ahead of Israel in a pillar of cloud, and that same faithful guide now inhabits the quiet places you overlook. Psalm 139:5, He encircles you behind and before, knitting safety into every unseen corner. You close your eyes, letting the awareness settle deeper than thought, deeper than feeling, until it becomes the atmosphere itself. You picture the road awaiting you, meetings, decisions, traffic, sudden detours, and you understand how quickly distraction can smother recognition of sacred company. But here, in pre-dawn stillness, you train inner sight the way a sailor reads the edge of sky for weather. You notice the subtle evidences, a warmth that has no source, a gentle urging to breathe slower, a spark of courage where worry once whispered. These are the footprints of an unseen friend who promised never to forsake you. So Matthew 20:18-20, even until the end of the age. His companionship remains uncompromised. You let gratitude unfurl like a banner over your heart. Thankfulness sharpens vision. Every thanks you speak is a lantern revealing another detail of His nearness. You bless Him for the roof overhead, for lungs that rise and fall, for the hum of life in your veins. With each acknowledgement, the room brightens inside your mind, though dawn still hides behind the city's skyline. You realize presence is not proved by physical sight, but by unbroken faithfulness, the way storms parted, just enough for you to pass. The way a timely word arrived when despair matured, the way closed doors rerouted you towards sweeter fruit. Memory becomes testimony, and testimony becomes sturdy ground beneath bare feet. Anxiety tries one last murmur. What if today holds something you cannot handle? You answer by leaning into the one already stationed beyond every moment you fear. Speak aloud if you wish, or simply let the words rise within. You go before me, therefore nothing arrives unfiltered through your love. The phrase settles over your spirit like soft wool, warming resolve. You notice shoulders loosen, jaw unclench, heartbeat slow. Courage is not the absence of darkness. It is confidence in a light that cannot be extinguished. Now clasp the intentions of the day like seeds in your palm. One by one, offer them into invisible hands, the conversation you dread, the project that feels too large, the family tension aching for peace. See those hands receive each concern, sowing them into fertile soil you cannot yet observe. Trust germination to the gardener who never sleeps. Stand, stretch, and face the faint glow seeping into the sky. The unseen has become unmistakable. God surrounds, leads, safeguards. You step from shadow into faint blush, certain that wherever you place your foot, companionship precedes you. You step into the hallway and feel morning light run ahead like a herald, illuminating floorboards you had not noticed the night before, as though each plank has been polished by unseen hands. This gentle brightness becomes a living metaphor. Every corridor of your day has already been measured, every threshold framed by providence. You picture the road outside, the weave of streets, sidewalks, stairwells, arrival points, and realize none of them sprawl at random. They interlace into a design stitched long before you awoke. While you slept, divine wisdom choreographed intersections, delays, and opportunities, so that nothing today lies beyond redemption. So Isaiah 4:5-2, the Lord declares He goes before you, leveling rugged ground and flinging wide bronze doors. These words reveal how obstacles bow to His advance, transforming potential setbacks into guided turns. With this truth humming in your chest, you lace shoes without the rush that usually tugs your thoughts toward unfinished tasks. You pause at the doorway, sensing the steady pulse of curated moments awaiting your yes. You notice how even small gestures, a friendly greeting, a patient pause in traffic, the discipline to silence a notification, can become holy milestones when aligned with purpose. The notion that God has already inspected every mile frees you from frantic control. You do not need to script the day, only join the script already good. Outside, the breeze is cool, carrying a hint of pine and distant river. Leaves tremble overhead, scattering coins of light across your face. And you remember that ancient paths cut by pilgrims often followed water and shade. Natural guides set in place by the eternal long before footsteps press dust. Likewise, invisible markers accompany you sudden clarity during a meeting, an encouraging text at the exact moment uncertainty spikes, a serendipitous shortcut when time runs thin. These are not coincidences, they are milestones proving the route was previewed by omniscient eyes. Yet the prepared path does not promise simplicity. Sometimes it wins through corridors of testing, trimming away distractions so you may walk lighter. You recall seasons when detours felt like defeat, only to realize later they were detours around unseen danger or toward richer soil. Gratitude swells as you consider how many unseen cliffs you skirted because a closed door redirected your pace. You breathe deep, acknowledging that provision is not merely material, it is directional, an inner compass that keeps turning you homeward, even when you cannot name the coordinates. Your steps become prayer. Guide my reactions, align my timing, let me recognize the clues of your leading. Saying this, you sense posture shift, shoulders draw back, chin lifts, gaze softens. You walk not as one who guesses, but as one who follows luminous footprints. When an unexpected delay blocks your route, you decide to search for the gift hidden within, maybe a conversation you would have missed, maybe the stillness you forgot to seek. Trust converts interruptions into invitations. Before the first obligation of the schedule calls your name, you pause once more at the curb where sunlight spills like liquid gold. You speak a quiet vow to tread gently, to interpret obstacles through the lens of sovereignty, to believe that even the mundane corner store run is folded into an elaborate tapestry of purpose. With each pace forward, you sense the ground beneath echo and ancient assurance. Always assigned today already know your name. The path is prepared. Now walk it with expectation. You settle into the driver's seat, hands resting on the wheel, before the engine hums to life, and in that suspended hush a softer sound rises, quieter than traffic, subtler than birdsong. It is the gentle murmur of God's assurance threading through your thoughts, like a ribbon of light, reminding you that security is not forged by circumstance, but spoken by an unwavering voice. A distant morning dove coos, echoing the cadence of that divine whisper, and you realize how easily loud schedules drown out sacred melody. So you pause, breathing deep until inner clamor softens, making room for words that do not demand yet never fail. Peace, be still. John 14:27, Christ's promise offers more than calm. It installs an unshakable harmony within, unfazed by exterior storms. You recall moments when fear masqueraded as prudence, times you planned exit strategies instead of leaning on everlasting arms. Yet each season carried a refrain you nearly missed. Do not fear, I am with you, sung over late night worries and early morning hesitations. Remembering this, you let gratitude bloom once again, for grace often comes disguised as a sigh of relief after danger passes. Assurance is the lavish generosity of a father who whispers before you ask, answering questions you have not framed. Traffic lights blink green, yellow, red in rhythmic succession while you drive, and their predictable sequence mirrors a deeper order governing your journey. Even pauses at intersections prove instructive. The halt invites reflection. The glow of fresh permission signals progress. And every transition underscores that someone regulates the flow. As you wait at a red light, sunlight catches the windshield, scattering tiny rainbows across the dashboard, and you hear fresh counsel in that prism. When vision refracts through trust, ordinary moments become stained, glass testimonies of faithfulness. You switch off the radio to keep ambience uncluttered. Stillness becomes an ally rather than an absence. In the muted cabin, prayers surface naturally, unrehearsed petitions, fragments of longing, half-whispered hopes for loved ones, and each syllable feels heard before it fully forms. Our Psalm 34:1 the eyes of the Lord rest upon the righteous, and his ears heed every cry, assurance solidified in attentive presence. You picture those prayers ascending like incense, curling into heavens already leaning low to receive them. And a smile traces your lips because you realize dialogue with God was initiated long before you responded. Midway through the commute, clouds gather in lazy clusters, dimming brilliance yet painting the sky in subtle gold and lavender. The scene suggests that even when clarity dims, beauty persists. Assurance is not a constant glare of certainty, but a steady glow that guides without blinding. You recall a season of unanswered questions when life felt like twilight, and how hindsight revealed quiet interventions. A friend's unexpected visit, a verse arriving in an email signature, a sudden idea sparking new direction. Each detail was a syllable in the overarching whisper, threading coherence into disarray. You pulled into the parking lot earlier than expected, another small mercy disguised as margin. Instead of rushing inside, you turn off the ignition and rest your forehead on the steering wheel. Here you consciously surrender today's conversations, decisions, and uncertainties into the whispering presence that fashioned dawn. You murmur, "Speak through me, calm me, keep me listening." Silence answers, yet within that silence resides an anthem of trust, as though heaven nods in agreement. The assurance does not promise painless hours, but it guarantees unwavering companionship, enough to steady trembling hands and embolden hesitant words. Stepping onto the pavement, you carry assurance like an inner lighthouse, casting steady beams over every task. When a colleague's harsh tone tests patience, you remember the whisper and choose gentleness. When a deadline shrinks, you inhale assurance and exhale creativity. Each conscious reliance becomes an act of worship, amplifying the quiet song that started in the dawn hush. You walk toward the building's glass doors, reflection mixing with sky behind you, and see a face learning to trust the unseen soundtrack of grace. You exit the elevator into a corridor throbbing with fluorescent glare and terse footfalls. Deadlines flicker across screens, and anxious voices skim the air like startled birds. A manager waves you into a conference room where ideas have stalled and risk feels heavy. Your pulse snaps, yet beneath the quick beat lives a deeper cadence set at dawn, reminding you that danger cannot outrun the presence already ahead. Without quoting a single verse, you let remembered promises tighten around your spine like hidden armor, converting hesitation into resolve. You inhale slowly, shaping peace inside your ribs, then offer a concise, hopeful proposal. It lands softly but ripples outward. Faces tilt forward. Pens move, tension thins. Fear loses its stage when someone dares a faithful word. Courage, you discover, rarely thunders. It is a steady flame refusing to dim when wind rises. You practice this fire in small acts, holding eye contact with a colleague who doubts you, declining gossip that erodes trust, volunteering for the task others avoid. Each choice chips away at the myth that bravery must be dramatic. Perseverance in the ordinary becomes a quiet march of valor. During lunch, you step outside where noon sunlight presses warm against your skin, reminding you that boldness can feel uncomfortable, even exhausting. You sip water, lift your face toward the brilliance, and imagine rays piercing layers of self-protection, burning off timidity. Fear feeds on speculation, but starves in direct light. When problems are named and decisions made, phantoms shrink to solvable puzzles. Afternoon brings conflict. A project's budget is slashed while expectations remain. Murmurs of dismay loop around the team. Instead of echoing despair, you suggest reframing constraints as creative prompts. Skepticism hangs thick, yet you persist, outlining practical adjustments. Pushback sharpens, muscles tense, voice wavers. Still, conviction steadies tone. Gradually, opposition softens, synergy sparks, and a path forward emerges from what seemed impassable. Boldness does not guarantee unanimous applause, but it does carve new space for possibility. As sunset paints office windows with copper and rose, you gather belongings, gratitude swelling. Valor today was not an occasional leap, it was dozens of micro steps stamped across ordinary hours, each a testament that divine strength saturates human veins. walking to your car. You watch evening swallows ride invisible currents, unafraid of unseen winds. Their effortless flight mirrors your own journey. Navigation sustained by support you cannot trace yet deeply trust. Back home, a single lamp spills gold across familiar walls. You jot reflections in a journal, tensions faced, nerves mastered, quiet miracles observed. Each line becomes a stone in an altar of remembrance. Proof that bravery is less a personality trait than a partnership between willing heart and eternal strength. You close the book, whisper thanks, and feel spirit settle. Confidence is not arrogance, it is trust wearing work boots, ready to rise again with dawn. You leave the quiet glow of the lamp and step onto the sidewalk, where twilight gathers like soft indigo silk, folding the day toward rest yet urging you onward. Each footfall matches the heartbeat that has learned a new cadence, not hurried, not stalled, simply steady. Street lamps flicker to life in gentle succession, forming a luminous breadcrumb trail that echoes the morning's promise. Progress guided by a presence who never lags behind. You notice how the pavement, once merely functional, now feels like a scroll being unrolled line by line, inviting you to keep writing faith into its margins. Earlier challenges still hum at the edges of memory, yet their sharpness has dulled under layers of quiet victories. When disappointment tried to trip your stride, you slowed rather than stopped, letting composure settle until fresh insight opened an alternate route. This practiced pace shelters you from extremes. You resist the tug of panic that sprints, and you refuse the lull of apathy that stalls. Like a river moving around stones without losing direction, you bend but do not break, accepting detours as part of larger flow. The constancy within you is not stubbornness. It is partnership with eternal momentum. As evening traffic murmurs nearby, you reflect on conversations that required patience. An aging parent repeating the same worry, a coworker venting frustration, a friend wrestling private grief. You listened without rushing resolution, discovering that persistently offered presence can become a healing balm. Steadiness manifests not only in tasks, but in temperament, consistency in tone, gentle, hopeful, unflustered, allows others to anchor themselves when their own seas churn. You realize that steadfastness is a sermon rarely preached with words. It is proclaimed through reliable character, day after unfolding day. Passing a neighborhood park, you pause to watch children chase fireflies with jars, their laughter rising like sparks. They pursue tiny lights without fretting over each missed catch, trusting the next flicker will appear. Their playful resilience mirrors the lesson your soul gathers tonight. Progress thrives in rhythm, not perfection. You absorb the scene, then resume walking, carrying the hum of childlike wonder as a reminder that forward motion can be joyful, even playful. The narrow path home curves beneath arching trees, leaves whispering as if cheering each deliberate step. You reach your doorstep under a sky now dusted with early stars, symbols of journeys completed by ancient light. Turning the key, you whisper gratitude for the day's sustained motion, meetings navigated, conflicts reframed, courage practiced, kindness extended. None of it required grand spectacle, only faithful repetition of the next right action. Inside, you set shoes aside, feeling their soles still warm from miles traveled. You breathe deeply, drawing in quiet satisfaction, then exhale lingering tension. Resolve settles like sand in a clear jar, readying you for tomorrow's stretch of road. Before sleep, you imprint one final truth upon your mind. Momentum is a gift protected by discipline. As long as trust fuels intention and gratitude oils hinges of obedience, you will stride onward, sometimes brisk, sometimes slow, always steady. You close your eyes, confident that the same hand which traced today's path is already sketching fresh lines across tomorrow's canvas, inviting you to rise and continue the sacred march. You wake again before dawn, aware that today's horizon holds the culmination of many quiet obediences. The sky blushes faint rose, as if creation celebrates every faithful step that carried you here. You brew coffee, its aroma curling upward like a benediction, and recall nights when progress felt invisible, victories trivial. Yet steadfast motion has escorted you into a morning lined with expectancy. Entering the still street, you notice how dew beads on grass like tiny crowns, honoring the pilgrim who persevered. Each droplet mirrors the truth that destinations are stitched from thousands of unnoticed moments, now gathered into a single glowing promise. During your commute, memories unfurl like banners, the project, once overwhelming now, ready for launch. The relationship healed by consistent listening, the inner fear replaced by measured courage. None arrived by sudden miracle alone, each unfolded through daily agreement with guidance that traveled ahead. Traffic eases, confirming that timing too has been orchestrated. You sense an inward bow, recognizing that even your capacity to respond was a gift, nurtured by presence more faithful than sunrise. At the workplace lobby, colleagues greet you with smiles shaped by yesterday's hope. Gratitude wells as you realize communal flourishing often hinges on one person choosing to trust the unseen. Meetings proceed smoothly, doors open, and uncertainties concede to solutions. Yet triumph does not intoxicate, it humbles. You understand arrival is not a finish line, but a vista revealing wider landscapes. Celebration mingles with readiness, new calls beckon. Fresh paths glimmer beyond current success. After work you drive toward a nearby overlook where hills roll like resting lions beneath a golden sky. Parking, you walk a narrow trail to the ridge. Wind brushes your face, carrying scents of pine and distant rain. You stand at the edge, watching the sun kiss earth and exhale a breath that feels like years. The journey behind you rearranges itself into a mosaic of mercy. Every closed gate rerouted you toward richer pasture. Every delay trained patience. Every whispered assurance matured into visible fruit. Arrival, you realize, is less a location than a revelation. God, already present, welcomes you into the space He prepared, then invites even deeper exploration. You linger until stars emerge, small sentinels of continuity. Their ancient light reminds you that fulfillment was conceived long before desire stirred. Turning back toward the path, you feel a new commission settle. Carry the peace of accomplished purpose into the unknown chapters waiting beyond. Your steps down the trail are lighter, not because effort ends, but because confidence now pulses like quiet thunder beneath your resolve. Promised arrival has become perpetual companionship. Wherever tomorrow leads, the same presence awaits, ready to transform ground into holy ground. Entering your home, you lay keys on the table and sit in gentle darkness. Gratitude flows unforced. You whisper thanks for sustained guidance, for courage that outlasted fear, for vistas that prove endurance worthwhile. You rise, readying for sleep, knowing dawn will kindle fresh journeys. Promised arrival is never the final word, it is an eternal echo. Forward, spoken by the one who stands beyond every horizon, bidding you walk on in bold serenity. Sit quietly and let the echoes of today's path settle within. Notice how each breath witnesses faithfulness that preceded every step. Let gratitude sketch a map of hidden, help-said doors that opened. Strength that rose, peace that steadied. Hold that map close, then release it, trusting tomorrow's canvas to the same artist. Whisper a simple vow. I will step forward boldly, knowing you are already there. Allow silence to drape over you like soft dawn light, sealing the promise within your heart.